Afterwards they endured a fearful storm at sea. It was 14 days or more before they reached the port, and 7 of those days they saw neither the sun, the moon, nor the stars, and they were being driven near the coast of Norway. A storm hit that was so horrendous that the stars and the sun and the moon were totally blocked out for the heavy thunderous storm upon the ocean. The ship was being driven far to the north of Holland, blown towards the Scandinavian countries of Norway. Terrible storm. And Bradford writes later what the storm was like. It said, "The sailors themselves often despaired, and once with shrieks and cries they gave over as the ship floundered, and they were sinking without hope of recovery." Now, I brought with me a scale model ship, and allow me to show you what it means to be floundering without hope of recovery. Now, normally, when you're on a ship, this is typical. This is an exact replica of the Mayflower. Ships were not that far different in those days. They were pretty much the same. Size might have been a slight smaller than the Mayflower, although the Mayflower was not a large ship. 90 feet long, 24 feet wide. Now, floundering is this. As the ship rides the waves, they go up the wave. It's almost like a hill. It goes up the hill, the wave, and it goes down the wave. Most adventurous, most exciting, most perilous. Now, normally, ships can ride up and down and do pretty well in a storm. I used to work as a fisherman, and you can ride up and down, and there's usually not that much trouble. But you've not only got the up and down motion, but you've got the pitching back and forth. Now, floundering is this. The ship rises so high, and it comes down with such force that normally only the bow, the front part of the boat, the first 1/4 of the boat goes underwater, and then it bobs back up. Floundering is when the ship goes completely underwater and there's nothing left except the masts, the walking guide ropes to the top, and you're hanging on ropes and there's just water underneath you. That's perilous because with that much water, the scupper holes usually cannot drain fast enough and the ship sinks. And as Bradford said, without hope of recovery. Now let me pick up the narrative again so that you can see the action. The ship is going up and down, wind is blowing, and there's floundering without hope of recovery. But I like the way Christians think. I like the way Bradford writes. "But when man's hopes wholly failed, there appeared the Lord's power and mercy to save them. For the ship rose again and gave the crew courage to manage her. And if modesty permits me, I might declare with what fervent prayers those sailors were praying. They were crying to the Lord in their great distress, trying to remain fairly collected and calm. When the water was running into their mouths and into the ears, the sailors were crying out, 'We sink, bloop, 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 we sink, bloop, bloop, bloop,' hanging on these ropes. The ship is floundering, trying to remain calm." But look at the way the Pilgrim's response is. And Bradford goes on to say that when they're saying, "We sink, if not yet with miraculous and sublime faith," they were saying, "Yet, Lord, thou canst save. Yet, Lord, thou canst save. Lord, we're sinking. Oh, Lord, you can save. Lord, we'll perish. Oh, Lord, you can save." And this is going on, this chant between the sailors and the godly, both crying out to the Lord. And wouldn't you know, God is a God of answers prayer. It says here, "Upon which the ship not only righted herself, but shortly afterwards the violence of the storm abated, and the Lord filled their afflicted minds with such comfort as but few can understand, and brought them to the desired haven. People came flocking, astonished at their deliverance, for the storm having been so long and violent." In another account I read, as I read many books on this subject, it said that all the ships that had crossed the channel at that very precise moment perished. There wasn't a single ship that had crossed that 14-day period that did not sink in that channel between England and the mainland of Europe, except one ship did not sink, and it was the ship that Governor Bradford, the future governor of Plymouth, who was just a young man at the time, the writer of this book, their beloved Elder Brewster, crossed that channel and made it. Satan attempted to destroy them, but God's power was there to deliver. That's the kind of mighty God that we have, the God that delivers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You know, young people listening and moms and dads, we have that kind of God. He will watch over our families.